system would have permanently buried. I started to think what would have happened if the prison officer had given the driver direct imprisonment. Wrong person would have served the sentence for the crime he did not commit, making mockery of the court and the entire criminal justice system. Paragraph 7. Why I say there's a likelihood that they will interfere with our witnesses. 7.1. Both applicants know their state witnesses very well, and those witnesses are gullible and vulnerable since they were serving under them. They owe their everyday work conditions to the applicants. Further on applicant 1, that is now we are on 7.2, Your Worship. There is evidence that persons who were close to the applicant number 1 died in the hail of bullets. It also revealed that all those witnesses were about to blow whistles at 2 o'clock in the morning, 11 hours of the morning, where he ordered the disposal of the deceased body into the dam. In his statement, he gave to the police a witness D listed several persons who were present when applicant 1 arrived at the scene. Your Worship, this statement is attached as Annexure A. I want to ask the court that I will read it after I have read the affidavit, because it is longer. This included the deceased potential witness who called him to the scene. That is Yago Hanekom, who is under Boksburg CAS 2163 of 2013. That is the docket of that witness, the dead witness. Another person who was present was one Willem Pretorius, under Brakpen 139 2025, attempted murder, and Sergeant Koza of Zakane CAS 27510 of 2025, that is murder in that one. One thing is common about them is that they all died from bullet wounds. It would be reckless of me to ignore these hard facts, especially when they are dealing, when they are already in the public domain. I feel duty bound as an officer responsible for the public order to bring this to this court attention. These events inspire fear in the investigations and the safety of the witnesses. Now, further on applicant 2. Evidence, that is now 7.4, Your Worship. Evidence revealed that on the 14th of May 2021, at about after 12 midnight, 10 past 12 midnight, applicant 2 was driving a black Mercedes G Wagon with registration number JH60JBGP along N12 eastbound when he got involved in a collision with a Hyundai whose driver died on the scene. The scene was attended by 2 EMPD officers who allegedly arranged for applicant 2 to be transferred to hospital for medical attention, as he was allegedly seriously injured. However, the applicant was attended to at the hospital and discharged the same day without being admitted. Case of culpable homicide was registered as per Bedford View, CAS 106, 05 of 2021. Closed as withdrawn on the 28th of August 2023, but it is mysteriously missing from the sub-storeroom where it is supposed to be kept. 7.5. The investigation in the culpable homicide docket placed us in a position to reconstruct the missing docket. and the reconstruction is at an advanced stage, including the investigation regarding such loss of the docket. 7.6. In the reconstruction of this docket, investigation revealed that immediately at the crime scene, the tow truck driver was offered an amount of 10,000 rand by the applicant number 2 to remove the body from the scene before the role players arrived at the crime scene. There is a statement to this effect. Your Worship, it is signed on this 23rd day of April 2026 here in Boksburg and is commissioned, Your Worship. May I read now the Annex A?
May proceed.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, it is under Duduza Cast 91 of April 2022 and it is a meta docket. The witness is Marius van der Merwe, state under oath in English. I am an adult male, self-employed as a consultant, which I'm going to live there where he resides. On Thursday, the 14th of April 2022, at about 9 o'clock in the evening, I was contacted by Cobus, who is the director of Coast Guard Security situated at Springs. He was informing me about the warehouse robbery that took place at Boksburg area, saying that he had location about the suspects. He also asked me if I was available for backup. I told him that he must send me a pin drop for location. Paragraph 2. Cobus sent me a pin drop on WhatsApp. It was for Salis village. I arrived at the location at about 20 minutes later. I found Yako Hanekom and Cobus at the location. Yako is an informer. I was driving a company vehicle with a number HW02WFGP, which is a marked Guardian Security Ford Ranger and black in color. Yako Hanekom's contact number, I'm not going to read it for the family members. And he was driving a red or maroon Renault Kwid HL06DD I cannot recall what Cobus was driving. Paragraph 3. I got out of the car and greeted them, and 3 unmarked EMPD vehicles arrived, and they were Golf 7 GTIs. Inside 2 of the EMPD vehicles, they were driving by Kesia Listols, and other vehicle was driven by Aiden Mackenzie. The 3rd vehicle was driven by a colored male. Kesia's got a number, and Mackenzie, I'm not going to read them, and they both employed by EMPD as police officers. They all got out of the vehicle and greeted us. Zander Fritz also arrived with 2 African males that were in full uniform in a marked SAPS BMW, marked black band with its call sign BP32. Zander was wearing a police trouser, police boots, and a black or blue t-shirt with black bulletproof on top. VM Pretorius, that is now paragraph 4, Your Worship. VM Pretorius and Constable Yuan Mary Extian arrived shortly after that. They both arrived in one vehicle, and I cannot recall if it was a Hilux or a Ford Ranger. VM's number, I'm not going to read it, Your Worship, with the permission. And he introduced himself as a sub-employee, but to my knowledge, he's not employed. Yuan Mary Extian and is stationed at North Rand Flying Squad in Benoni. They also came and joined us. They both explained that they were waiting for 2 extra members. Those members that Viendra was waiting for came in one vehicle. I cannot be able to identify them. Also, Etienne van der Walt from Titan Security arrived with a white female unknown to me, and they were driving a Kia Sportage, silver in color, and did not obtain registration numbers of the said vehicle. We were briefed by coppers from Coast Guard Security that the vehicle that was identified as a business robber was parked at a certain yard at Salis village. He further informed us that there were a number of heavily armed suspects at the address. Shortly after that, we took our bulletproofs on. We drove in a convoy to the address that was identified by Yago to us. It turned out that we started at the wrong address, and we thereafter proceeded to another address just down the road and stopped at that residence. Paragraph 7. All members got out of their vehicle, and I was the last one to get out of the vehicle. A large group of the members proceeded to the main house, and they were led by Yago and Viandre. I followed Constable Extin to the outside rooms of the property. When we got to the door of the outside dwelling, we were met by Mackenzie, and they introduced themselves as the law enforcers to the occupant. There was colored male and colored female and a toddler, and they were in one room. Joan Marie and Mackenzie went inside to search the room, and they inquired about the owner of the truck that was parked in the yard. And a response from the colored male that the truck belonged to the owner of the property, but he did not know if he was home or not. We were notified by one of the members that they had found the owner, and he was inside the main house. We proceeded to the main house through the back door that was leading to the kitchen. Before we entered the house, I saw the 4-ton truck that was parked inside the yard, but it was not visible from the street. I did not manage to get the registration of the truck because one of the metro officers had already removed the registration plate, and they were seen inside the house. Paragraph 8. I asked the coppers if he could confirm if it was that truck. He said yes. I proceeded through the kitchen and realized that there was commotion in that passage. I then saw an African male that was being grabbed by a waist of his pants by 2 SAPS members that were wearing uniform, and they said here was the suspect. Viandre told the suspect that he should know as to why we were there. The suspect had confused look in his face. Viandre asked him to show us the stock hidden. That African male agreed that he was going to take us where the stock was. The suspect further explained that there was money inside the house and said we can talk. The suspect was then pushed to the bedroom. Paragraph 9. He was pushed by the same African SAPS members that were wearing uniform, and he landed on top of the bed facing up. Viandre was sitting on top of him, pressing him down, and the 2 SAPS were restraining him from the head and hands, and the other one was assisting him on the waist down in order for him not to stand up. I stood on the doorway, and told Viandre that he must remember that we must find the stock, and Viandre said I should not worry because the suspect was going to talk. Viandre asked the suspect about the money, and the suspect was crying and he couldn't talk clearly. Paragraph 10. I left the room where the suspect was and went to join Etienne, Cobas, Yako, and Kesha in the main bedroom. I conducted search and recovered live ammunition and a leather firearm holster. I told the member to keep an eye to those exhibits and went to another room. That room was full of garden tools and other things. We found Mackenzie searching the cupboard that was having mags and tires, and he took them. We were all searching At the kitchen, I saw Zander, Johan Marie, and an unknown subs member, and they were searching. Paragraph 11. I went outside and looked at the truck. One member took out a disc from the truck, and we were waiting for those who were still searching. I went back and told Vianda that he should not forget that we still need to recover the stock. I then realized that the suspect was crying, and whenever he tried to talk, he was spitting saliva or liquid from his mouth, yellowish in color. He was indicating that he was going to show us where the stock was. I then went out of the room and met one member carrying the bottles of water in his hands, and I realized that something was not right. Paragraph 12. After about plus minus 30 minutes, I went back to the room. I sat on top of the bed, which was wet at that stage. I asked the suspect to show us as to where was the stock. I even begged him to talk in order for us to help him. He tried to respond, but I could see that it was strenuous to him. He spitted some liquid on my eye. I then went out of the room to get water from the tap in order to clean my eye. As I was standing inside the kitchen, I saw Kesia wearing the surgical gloves, and I asked as to what was happening, and she did not respond. Paragraph 13, I left the house and went outside, find other members sitting on the grass and others standing. The two staff members in uniform came out of the house with a small safe or container. They went past us and never said anything. A few minutes later, Vianda came out and told us that the suspect was not going to talk anymore. And Vianda further said how we were going to contain all that. Johan and Zander said that they were going to fetch the firearm because they were planning to shoot the suspect who was deceased. And they were going to plant him with a firearm in order to make it look like a self-defense. They were driving in that marked BMW. After that, Ukobas left and other MP and other members left also. I was only left with Kesia, Mackenzie, Viandre, Jacob, Etienne, and one EMPD member. As we were standing there, Viandre told us that if we talk, he was going to kill that person himself. Viandre, as I said, that he was going to call General Khan to assist with the deceased. He then changed and said he was going to call Colonel Dawood, and he was asking if he should call him. Paragraph 14. Yeah, of course, they said that they should call their chief, whom they call Julius. And he turned around and said he was going to call Mkhwanazi, whom he said he was his chief. He then used his phone to call him. Julius Mkhwanazi arrived a few minutes later, and he introduced himself as Superintendent Julius Mkhwanazi to myself and Etienne. Viandre then spoke to Mkhwanazi and said, "Chief, it's that time again." Close quote. Then they discussed the manner in which the body can be disposed of, and it said that I should follow them. I walked to my buggy, and the EMPD member was following me. Viandre instructed me that my buggy will be loaded with the body of the deceased. Therefore, I should not worry because I will be covered. Paragraph 15. I then told him that it was my work buggy and it was marked. He said I should not worry because no one was going to pull it over. I noticed that two members were having guns in their hands, and Vianda said people will die for this. He told me that I should park the buggy next to the room where the deceased was. I did as I was instructed. They rigged the gate off, and I drove in. I parked inside the yard and got out of the car. I went inside again. I then told Kesia, who was standing in the golf vehicle, that it was not right what was happening. And they were, it was not right that was happening there, because that was not what we came for. Paragraph 16. I then saw Viandre and Jaco carrying the body from the house and threw it inside my buggy. And it was not covered, but the loosely fitted tracksuit-like jacket to the body. Mackenzie drove inside the yard and put the tires and mags inside the golf boot. Jaco loaded welding machine and a small generator, and another item that I did not see what it was inside, since his vehicle did not quit. And another item that I did not see what it was inside his vehicle did not quit. Julius was still inside the yard, supervising the whole issue of disposing the body. Paragraph 17. They closed the doors. Jaco and Etienne. I was instructed to follow them. They pulled out of the yard, and I did as well. Julius also left and drove off. I was instructed to follow Mackenzie. It was Mackenzie, myself, Viandre, Kesia, Etienne, and Jaco. We proceeded out to Spring Road and to R23. They indicated left towards Heidelberg to R235. Jaco and Etienne turned left. Kesia pulled off as we were driving and turned back. We continued, myself, Viandre, and Mackenzie. On the way, I could not see Viandre anymore, who was following me. I continued with Mackenzie, who gave me the signal to follow him, as we drove slowly towards the Spar water dam. Paragraph 18. We drove slowly as he would stop and wait for me to follow. He then stopped and instructed me to throw the body inside the dam. I then stopped and opened the buggy and pulled the body down, holding it by the waist of the trouser, and placed it next to the river bank, facing down. I then took the jacket and placed it on top of the body. The body never sustained any further injuries in my care. I did not place it inside the dam because I was hoping that someone will discover it. I then drove back and met with the whole team that was in the house, waiting by road next to the Carnival City. They asked me if I dropped the boat inside the water, and I said yes. But they wanted to be sure if I went inside the water. I told them that, no, I did not go inside the water. Christian then said it was done, and no one should talk about this on the phones. Viandre emphasized that if you talk about this, someone will die. Thereafter, I then drove back home, leaving everyone there. Paragraph 19. On Saturday, the 16th of April, at about 6 in the evening, I received a call from Joan Matri Extien using unknown number, and he said we should meet in a spot where there were no cameras. He said we should meet Rose Tully. I then did go there. After informing Cobas, it was myself, Zanda Fritz, and Joe Marie Extien, Jaco, and Viandre Petorias. The meeting was chaired by Viandre, and they wanted to know if I was going to talk to someone about the death incident. I said, no, I will not talk. Then they said they did not trust Cobas, Jaco, and myself. They instructed me to go and check if the body was not found. I did go and confirm to them that the body was no longer there. Paragraph 20. I'm giving this statement out of my free will, and no one forced me to give the statement. I swear that the above is true. So help me God. Your Worship, it is signed and commissioned.
This shall be Exhibit C.
The court will Your Worship, that concludes also the state case.
Thank you. Mr. Wilkins.
As is the court, Your Worship, as we indicated in our original affidavit, if the state, in their
Says something.
reply, shares a new information, that we would request an opportunity to take instructions in that regard. In this respect, Your Worship, I think Your Worship will, upon a mere perusal of the charge sheet, see that the contents of the investigating officer's affidavit directly contradicts the charge sheet, and she makes allegations that is not contained in the charge sheet, Your Worship. We did not take instructions on it. We're surprised by that, as well as the other annexes that is now attached. Under these circumstances, Your Worship, I would ask an opportunity to just consult with the first applicant and to take proper instructions as to how we should deal with this.
That was the main reason why I invited you specifically.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Helens?
I need less of an opportunity, but seeing my learned friends taking an opportunity, I'll sail behind him.
You will then tell me when you are ready.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Court adjourned.